A few days ago, I paid $75 to have 200 strangers judge photographs of my two boys. And today I'm going to show you all 10 photographs that I sent them and tell you why I chose each one. And I'll show you one that I got today that I wish I could include, and a few more that didn't quite make the cut, and why. This is Ellery on the yoga mat with George, who's about 2 years younger, on his back. And I chose this as my opening image because it grounds the whole series in one idea: their bond. Right? Nobody's performing for the camera here. This isn't two kids playing side by side in the same room. It's two kids who chose each other in the middle of an ordinary afternoon. Right, and here Ellery, the older brother, is carrying George literally on his back, and he's been doing that one way or another since George could crawl. And sometimes the camera hands you a metaphor, and all you have to do is not miss the moment. Right, that's why this that's why this photograph leads. And everything that follows, every photograph in this series of 10, and that's why this image leads. And everything that follows, every photograph in the series of 10, is about their bond. Well, before we look at photo 2, so what did I actually enter these 10 into? The competition is called Critical Mass. It's run by Photolucida. And each year, about 1,000 to 2,000 photographers from all over the world submit photos. 7 to 10. I sent 10. And that constraint, it's half the gift. It forces you to say what your work is actually about. And you have to include an artist statement. And then after that, all the entries are pre-screened down to about 200 finalists. And then there's a jury of over 200 people, curators, gallerists, editors, publishers, and they look at every finalist and they vote. And then that'll narrow it down to a top 50 that will get gallery exhibitions, including one in Los Angeles. And the top 50 will get to have a portfolio review with one of the top jurors. I'm making a book about my family and the people who make photo books, publishers, book editors, consultants, the ones that shepherd books into the world. Well, some of them are on that jury, and I'm trying to start conversations. The results will come in September, and whatever happens, you'll see it here on my channel. For my second image, George and Ellery are walking down Blackberry Lane. And we call it that because in the summer, we get blackberries on both sides of this road all the way down. But in the winter, and fall and spring, this is where all the good puddles are, down here at the end of this road. And that's where they're going. They've got their rain boots on, and Ellery is helping George, who's just walking. He's showing him where the best puddles are. For photo 3, we're staying outside, but now it's snowing. And this is our best chance out of the 10 photos to see their faces. And I wanted that to happen in the front half of the series. And in general, I'm staying away from photos where they're aware of the camera. But this was such a genuine moment of happiness, of the joy of sledding, that I didn't really make that much of a difference here with my camera. Like, this was really happening, and I just jumped in and took a picture of it. And now we're inside the house. And even better than that, we're inside the bathtub where it's warm. And I've got so many pictures of them in the bathtub, but again, I'm focused on the relationship. And here they notice each other's soap beards. Right, and in many of these photos, I'm going after something that's very relatable. And I do think most of us played with soap bubbles when we were a kid. Hopefully. And now the classic pillow fight. And I have lots of photos of them play fighting, sword fighting, water guns. And this is the only one I picked of that type. The stereotype that brothers fight is not something I wanted to play into too much, right? I'm trying to show more of their bond and their love and affection and the positive sides of the relationship, which play fighting is. I mean, it's right. They feel ultimately safe when they do this, and they're having fun. But still, I didn't want to go too crazy on play fighting. But I love this one, the way the light squeezes through. You can see Pikachu on his pillow, and Ellery's got his banana pillow. The body postures are interesting, and I'm sort of right there in the action. And following up the pillow fight is a pillow fort. They look like they're having fun, like they're feeling safe and cozy. And I also like here in the top right, you see a TV controller and a video game controller. And that's not what they're doing, right? They're choosing to be with each other. And it reminds me of when I did this as a child. I think that's sort of happening on a lot of these. It's like an ode to their experience of these things, but also to my experience of these things and their importance. And here we are back outside. We're at one of our favorite local parks with creek access. And they wanted to race their leaves. And I like how they sort of have the same haircut going. And their hair even sort of looks like the same pattern you see in the water. And I like the way that the water flows from left to right. And this is going to lead to the next photo, which takes us out to the ocean. Together, they've run to and from the waves, they've flown kites, they've built sandcastles. And here, the strong silhouette shapes, the beautiful cloudy day, and unmistakably, to my eye at least, George and Ellery. And almost always what they do at the beach, they do it as a duo. And then thinking about the transition here in the series, we're going from them feeling safe together at the ocean under the giant sky to now being back at home and inside a box together. Countless times I've gotten a box in the mail, and they don't care what's in the box. They want the box to decorate, to play in. Maybe it's a roller coaster. Maybe it's a ship. And I like the way that George has his hand out, his arms almost going around Ellery's back. And for my last image, closing image, I wanted one of them close, affectionate, and embrace. We were just finishing a hike. They've each got their hiking stick. And I like the way that the two sticks are going in opposite directions. And even though almost every day has a rough spot or a hiccup, overall their relationship has been one of love and affection. And I want them to know that, and for there to be documentation of it. For these two brothers, this is their bond. Well, that's my series. I hope it wins over a few judges. Before I go here, I wanted to show just a few more. Here's one I got yesterday that I hadn't developed and scanned it until after the deadline. And when I took it, I knew, I was like, oh, I'm going to wish I had that. But hey, this is ultimately going towards a chapter in a book. So it can still go there. And this one is different than the other 10 because it's not just the two of them. This is our family dog, Shadow. But they are swimming in the river with George leading the way and Ellery with a very symmetric running stance, left leg back. They almost look like they're wearing the same thing. With Shadow in the tail, with the tail. And this one didn't quite make the series of 10. Even though I really like it as a photo. If you were like, hey, Dan Mars, just show me some really cool photos you've taken, I might show you this one. And it's of the two of them. But the combination of them being a little bit smaller, and they're both sort of doing the same thing, but I don't feel their relationship in the same way as I do in the 10 that I picked. And here's another that just didn't quite make it into the 10, and I'm definitely going to put it in the book. They're in their room. For the first 8 years, they shared a room together quite well. They finally reached a point of needing their own rooms. You can see that they are very comfortably cohabitating, and this was probably the most common thing that they did together is play Legos on the carpet. It's sort of a good view of their room, and I like for the photograph that I've gotten down low and created some layering and depth. And here's the last image I'm sharing today. Another one that almost made the 10. They used a magic science kit to make a so-called unbreakable bubble. And this moment captures the magic. There's something metaphorical here about the two of them working together to make something unbreakable and beautiful. So now you've seen all 10 of my images, and somewhere out there soon 200 people will be looking at them too, deciding and voting for whether these photographs of George and Ellery matter to anyone outside of my house. But let's be honest about the stakes. The top 50 would be wonderful, but even the top 200 opens doors. The Blue Sky Gallery right here in Portland, Oregon, a place that you've seen on this channel, picks a solo show from that group of 200, and I'd love to be that person. But none of that's the real finish line for me. The real finish line is a photo book, a book about my two boys, my family, and also about more than just my family. A photo book that sits on a shelf that gets picked up in 40 years by two grown men who want to remember their childhood. Everything I'm doing, this entry, this channel, this community, it's me learning to make that photo book in public with you watching, which brings me to you. If you had to send 200 strangers 10 photographs, which 10 would you send? Well, we're doing exactly this in a Discord server right now. And the best of what the community makes goes into YouTube videos and our community zine. And the link is in the description if you want to join our Discord server. In September, 200 jurors will tell me what they saw in George and Ellery. Subscribe and you'll find out with me. Take care.